There is a deadline approaching almost nobody is talking about. December 31st, 2026, just over 6 months away. On that day, the single most important piece of American industrial policy in 50 years is set to expire. It is called the Advanced Manufacturing Investment Credit, Section 48D of the tax code. And in plain language, it is the engine behind the entire CHIPS Act. Since it became law, it has anchored $640 billion in advanced semiconductor investment across the United States. More than 100 projects across 78 states, 17 new fabs, 8 new supply chain facilities, tens of thousands of jobs. Congress does not act in the next 6 months, this incentive simply ends. And the question almost nobody in the chip industry is asking out loud is this: did the CHIPS Act actually work? And what happens when its most important provision runs out? I'm Diane and this is Chips Weekly, where I cover the semiconductor industry, the technology behind it, and the geopolitics shaping it. Now, I usually cover technology, but sometimes the technology story is also about policy story. And now, the most consequential decision shaping the future of the US chip industry is not being made in Taiwan or in TSMC boardroom. It is being made in Washington. Today I want to break down what the CHIPS Act has actually accomplished, what is about to expire, and the honest answer to whether it worked and what happens next. This is going to be a more analytical episode than usual, but if you care about the chip industry, this matters. Because the next 6 months will decide whether America keeps building what it just started building, or whether the momentum quietly slips away. Let's start with the facts. The CHIPS and Science Act was signed into law in August 2022. It had 3 main components. First, $39 billion in direct grants for semiconductor manufacturing. Second, up to $75 billion in loans and loan guarantees. And third, the part most coverage skips a 25% investment tax credit for a company building a new chip manufacturing facility in the United States. That third piece is the Advanced Manufacturing Investment Credit, Section 48D. And here it's what makes it special. Unlike the direct grants, which require lengthy negotiations and approval processes, the tax credit is automatic. Any qualifying company that starts construction by the deadline can claim 25% back on the entire cost of its fab. When the cost of building a leading-edge fab is $28 billion, 25% is $7 billion in tax savings per fab. That is not a small incentive. This is kind of math that turns a maybe into a yes inside an Intel or TSMC boardroom. Most coverage of the CHIPS Act focuses on the headline numbers. The $39 billion in the direct grants, awards to Intel, TSMC, Samsung, Micron, Global Foundries, press conferences, ribbon cuttings, and those are real. But here's what insiders will tell you. The tax credit is the bigger lever. Why? Because it is predictable, it is automatic, it scales with the size of the investment, and it doesn't depend on whether your company won a competitive grant negotiation. Industry analysts estimate the credit has anchored $640 billion in advanced private investment across the US chip ecosystem. That is one of the largest private industrial build-outs in modern American history. Intel plans to claim the credit on more than $100 billion of qualified investment. TSMC's Arizona expansion depends on it. Samsung's Texas fab depends on it. Micron's New York mega project depends on it. Without the credit, the entire economic model of building advanced fab in the US becomes much harder to justify, because here's the uncomfortable truth. Building chips in the US is expensive. Way more expensive than Taiwan, way more expensive than Korea. The tax credit is what closes the gap. So what actually expires? Let me be precise about this. The credit does not vanish for existing projects. Companies that have already started construction can keep claiming the credit for years to come while their facilities are being built. Treasury rules inside a safe harbor provision for the exact reason. What expires is the ability to start a new project and qualify for the new credit. Construction months begin by December 31st, 2026. After that date, any new fab announcement would no longer qualify for 25% credit. Which is why the next 6 months matter so much. Companies are right now making billion-dollar decisions about whether to greenlight new fab projects before the deadline if Congress acts to extend the credit. Those decisions get easier. More projects move forward. If Congress does not act, the pipeline of new US fabs slows dramatically starting in 2027. This is a cliff, and it is approaching fast. Okay, now the honest question. Did it work? Let's look at both sides. The case that it worked. By every measurable outcome, the United States has now built more advanced semiconductor capacity than at any point in modern history. TSMC's first Arizona fab is operational. Intel's Arizona fab is running. Samsung's Texas project is approaching completion. Micron's New York project is breaking ground. Industry projections show the United States going from making virtually no advanced logic chips in 2022 to producing 28% of the world's most advanced chips by 2032. This is real transformation. Now the case for skepticism. The CHIPS Act has had real downsides too. Some of the largest benefits have been used a portion of the savings to fund share buybacks rather than work investment. GlobalFoundries, for example, received around $1.5 billion in CHIPS Act funding and then announced $500 million in share buybacks. Some projects have been slower to break ground than promised, and the cost of building in the United States remains higher than in Asia. The honest balanced view is this: the CHIPS Act has worked as industrial policy. Not perfectly, not equally, not without controversy, but it has done what it was designed to do: shift the geography of advanced chips manufacturing. This is rare in modern policy. Now here's the part that makes the story more uncertain than it looks. Extending the credit is not guaranteed. There are competing proposals in Congress. The Basic Act, introduced by the representatives from the both parties, would extend the credit and raise it from 25% to 35%. The Semi-Investment Act would extend it through 2031 and expand it to critical material suppliers. A draft Senate tax package early in 2026 would have raised the credit to 30%, but none of these have been passed, and the politics are complicated. The current administration has publicly expressed concerns about the CHIPS Act, even though the program benefits both Republican-leaning and Democratic-leaning states. Arizona, Ohio, Texas, New York, New Mexico, North Carolina, Oregon. The geography is wide. That is unusual in modern policy, but the Trump administration has also created an investment accelerator entity to oversee implementation and signal it wants to renegotiate some existing commitments. So the question is not just whether the credit gets extended. It is what the new version looks like: 5%, 30, 35, through 2028, 2031, longer, and which companies qualify. These are the decisions being made right now behind closed doors in Washington. Decisions that determine the next decade of American chip manufacturing. Now let's zoom out, because the United States is not making this decision in isolation. China is spending hundreds of billions on domestic chip subsidies. North Korea has its own Key Chips Act with similar tax incentives. Japan is investing heavily to bring chip production home. India launched its own multi-billion-dollar semiconductor incentive program. Taiwan, of course, continues to subsidize TSMC in ways that are hard to fully count. Every major economy on Earth is now offering semiconductor manufacturing incentives, and many of them are more generous what the CHIPS Act currently offers, which means letting the credit expire is not a neutral move. It is a retreat from a game that every other major nation is doubling down on, and everyone else is subsidizing their chip industry, and you stop subsidizing it, you do not save money. You lose the next decade on investment to whichever country is still offering the better deal. So what does it all mean? If you follow AI, the entire American AI build-out rests on chip manufacturing. That's a tax credit anchored. If the credit expires without extensions, the next wave of fab announcements becomes much harder to justify economically. If you follow the chip industry, the next 6 months are the most important policy window in a decade. Every major player is lobbying. Every state with a fab is paying attention. If you follow markets, chip stocks are quietly tied to the outcome. An extension lifts US chip valuations. An expiration raises real concerns about the pipeline of the future projects. And if you follow geopolitics, this is a test of whether the United States can sustain industrial policy across political transitions. Because that is the real question. Not whether the CHIPS Act worked, it did, but whether Washington can be trusted to keep long-term industrial commitments across administrations, or whether each new government rewrites the rules and forces companies to make billion-dollar bets on uncertain political ground. So here's the real takeaway. The CHIPS Act has done something genuinely rare in modern American policy. It worked. It anchored $640 billion in real, tangible investment. It is on track to bring back an industry the United States spent decades letting drift away. But policy success doesn't extend itself. If Congress doesn't act in the next 6 months, the most important provision of the most important industrial policy in 50 years simply ends. Not with a crisis, not with a scandal, just with a calendar date, December 31st, 2026. And what happens next will tell us something important about whether the United States can play a long game in an industry where every other country already is. This is the real cliff, and it is approaching fast. Anyone telling you the American chips renaissance is guaranteed is not paying attention to the calendar. If you found this episode useful, subscribe. I cover the space every week. And tell me in the comments, do you think Congress extends the CHIPS Act tax credit before the deadline? Or does the cliff actually happen? I will see you in the next episode, and until then, stay curious, stay sharp, and stay chip aware.